Does depression have a biological basis? Depression is a mental disorder that affects more than 300 million people worldwide. It is a serious, chronic condition that can lead to suicide and other self-destructive behaviors. Depression is also the leading cause of disability in the United States. Depression has been studied for more than 100 years, and we are starting to learn more about why it happens and how it works. For instance, we know that depression can be caused by a combination of factors such as genes, environment, or brain chemistry. We also know that depression does not discriminate against gender or age, anyone can get it at any time in their life. The science behind depression, why so many people get it, and what we can learn from them. It can be triggered by a number of factors such as the death of a loved one, financial troubles, or marital problems. Depression can also be caused by physical illness or substance abuse. There are two types of depression, major depression and persistent depressive disorder, dysthymia. Major depression lasts for at least 2 weeks and includes symptoms such as loss of interest in activities once enjoyed, weight change, sleep disturbance, problems with concentration, fatigue or lack of energy, feelings of worthlessness or guilt, thoughts about suicide or death. Persistent depressive disorder lasts for at least 2 years and includes symptoms such as recurrent thoughts of death or suicide, poor self-image, and chronic feelings of worthlessness. Bipolar disorder is a brain disorder that causes periods of mania and depression. It can include symptoms like those in major depression but also includes other manic symptoms like an inflated sense of self-esteem, grandiosity, talking fast, racing thoughts, increased energy, and an inability to sleep. What causes depression? Depression is a mental illness that affects people in various ways. It is characterized by low mood, loss of interest in activities and pleasure, and negative thoughts. Depression can be caused by biological markers such as a person's genes or neurotransmitters. The biological basis for mental illness such as hormones, brain regions, and cells can also contribute to depression. How do we understand depression? Mental illness is a widespread problem. It can be difficult for people to diagnose the mental disorder of their loved ones because there are many different types of diagnoses that exist. Depression is a mental illness that affects many people in the world. It can be difficult to diagnose someone with depression because there are many different types of diagnoses that exist. The biological basis for depression includes neurotransmitters, hormones, and other chemicals in the brain which regulate mood and emotions. What makes some people more likely to develop depression than others? Depression is a mental illness that affects about 16.2 million adults in the United States every year. It is important to know what factors may increase the likelihood of developing depression so that people can take the necessary steps to protect themselves from depression. Also, be aware of the signs and symptoms of this mental illness. The following sections go over some factors which may increase one's risk of developing depression. People who have a family member with major depression are statistically more likely to develop the illness. In addition to having previous mental health problems, such as major depression, mood disorders, and other psychiatric illnesses. People who have a family member with major depression are statistically more likely to develop the illness. Furthermore, children of depressed parents are 1.5 times more likely to become depressed themselves than their peers who do not have parents with major depressive disorder. The science behind depression. Depression is a mental disorder and it affects the way people feel, think, and act. It is not a sign of weakness or something that can be overcome with a positive attitude. Depression is common but not normal. It can be difficult to know how to help someone who is depressed, so it's important to learn more about depression in order to best support those who are struggling with depression.